Live, it's the Inside Scoop, Virginia. All the news Virginians want to know. Here's your host, political insider, George Burke.
Now that's
my original dream ticket was Gore Obama. Remember when I said that a year ago?
Yeah, I remember that.
So
I think Obama-Clinton would have been a strong ticket, although there are some folks in the studio who know that 6-8 weeks ago I suggested it was going to be Biden.
All right.
And
I actually think had I been Barack Obama, Biden was the only choice he had to make. There was no one else that fit. Despite the weaknesses that Biden brings, he was the only one that filled the holes that needed to be filled. So
let's talk about weaknesses for a minute, Mike. And I do want to give Shannon an opportunity to talk about her exploits at the Democratic Convention. But forgetting the vice presidential candidate,
right?
Sarah who?
Palin, governor of Alaska.
Right.
The beauty queen, right?
Yeah. Oh, no. I believe runner-up.
Well, she was Miss Australia, but runner-up to Miss Alaska.
But here we're going into Monday. It looks like they're basically canceling the first day of the Republican convention except for the business that has to be conducted, which just means they can party hardy off camera all night. You've got a hurricane coming into New Orleans that reminds everybody of the debacle of several years ago. With Katrina, you guys are going to have to be doing some soft shoeing for the next couple of days.
You know what, George? I absolutely love the timing on this whole thing because it is working out so well. The work of FEMA and the federal government in conjunction with the new Republican governor down there in New Orleans, as of tonight, will be completely evacuated. Louisiana is showing the cooperation. It's working perfectly. Even Mayor Nagin has finally jumped on the team and is cooperating with the whole thing. This is going to be a picture-perfect, coordinated disaster team. It's going to make the administration look great. Katrina's going to go away.
I'm not aware of anything the feds have done. I know Mayor Nagin's done a lot. He chartered 400 buses. He got the people out of there. What has the Republican governor done?
Actually, the Secretary of Homeland Security has been on site for the last 48 hours coordinating the whole thing.
What's he done? He's there.
Well,
okay.
actually, they've had 700 buses, so it's at least 300 that the feds have provided. I don't know
where they take
I'm stipulating to.
I do hear it's a football stadium.
No.
I think they're trying to find 84,000 people to fill a football stadium so they can come in close to par.
The simple fact of the matter is they're not staying in New Orleans. They are all going up to Baton Rouge or Shreveport or other areas.
Remember, the president's mother doesn't want them in Texas.
They
better stay out of Texas.
They are prepared to handle this whole thing.
So they're going to shove them, hide them out there someplace in some other
George,
hovel?
I'm telling you, I am thrilled that this is going on this week. It will bring the spotlight to the fact that the administration is going to get this right, and I couldn't be more thrilled about how smoothly this is going to go.
About time.
But focus on the family. Rainstorm at the outdoor arena at Mile High Field in Invesco.
Right.
They were praying.
James Dobson.
I was going to say
that there'd be a huge. They were praying for it, and instead God sent a hurricane to destroy the Republican convention. Does God just hate Republicans? Is that what we're talking about here?
Well, Mark, interesting you should bring that up because both Don Fowler, who is a past chairman of the Democratic National Committee, who was caught on videotape on the airplane going home, joking and laughing about how this hurricane is coming into New Orleans and it's going to destroy it again, and look at those poor Republicans who have to have this while New Orleans is getting hit. And also Michael Moore was quoted on television 2 days ago, a big Democratic leader, sat in John Kerry's box when he was nominated.
Democratic leader.
I don't know how you choose our heroes.
Was he
just like James Dobson?
Was he John Kerry's guest in his personal box when he accepted accepted his nomination speech 4 years ago? I think he was.
Does that make him a Democratic hero?
And
he's big, I'll give you that.
And he similarly was caught on camera saying this is proof positive that God loves Democrats because, it's going to come in and destroy these people in New Orleans.
I think there's a difference here between...
What is with the Democrats who think this is funny?
No, there's a congregationally led effort to pray for rain versus a comedian that tries to have a little Democratic slant to it. There is a big
Michael
difference
Moore is
between
anything but a comedian. The man literally has no sense of humor. He is just a dour,
I think there's many
everything.
that would oppose differently.
He's not.
I got one more for you, though. The guy who's taken Brownie's place, your horse trader that you had running FEMA last time, is actually Dave Paulison. I know him personally. I've known him for years. He used to be the fire chief in Miami-Dade County. He is a card-carrying union member and a card-carrying Democrat. That's why he spoke to Obama today.
Okay.
And he's the one who's pulling all this stuff together to get it done. Chertoff takes the credit, but it's Paulison who does all the work.
Whatever you want to do, he's working for the administration. The president.
Somebody had to help him. They had to bring
the president has found the right people. This is going to be a picture-perfect disaster relief effort. I am so happy that it's going to be showcased during John McCain's week. This is perfect.
Republicans and Democrats agree. If you want to get the job done with government, you got to hire a Democrat. So I'm glad that we can all agree on that.
It's a little better late than never.
Well, it is. You see the exact same thing happen again. People will remember a callous president, a FEMA director that was best known for being an Arabian horse trader, someone who was too busy eating his prime rib to be disturbed by people dying in the streets of New Orleans. People don't forget that easily. The last Katrina victims, in fact, were just buried last week. I think this hurricane will remind them.
And I think it's not an issue of political partisanship, that it takes good leadership to go to the aid of
Look,
whoever's in need.
I can get the clip of Don Fowler laughing hysterically at the fact that this hurricane is bearing down on New Orleans.
I've never heard of Don Fowler.
He's about 10-year past chairman of the Democratic National Committee.
Okay.
I think you'd find that
my generation knows Howard Dean.
He was sitting on the airplane, and the guy catty-corner back from him had a cell phone camera and caught the entire thing.
I think that he was probably laughing at the debacle that the Republicans have to put up with in this.
Well,
I just do hope they don't. No.
Good try.
I hope they're not going to capitalize upon it for political gain. That's all I'm hoping for.
He was laughing at the terror and destruction happening in New Orleans, and it was disgusting.
So where is President Bush taking all these people that are being evacuated out of New Orleans?
They are going.
Do they have accommodations for them? Do they have anything for them?
No,
Or are they
of course
just
not.
taking them out and dumping them on the streets?
George, as you know, you build the church for the average Sunday, and you roll out the extra seats for Easter Sunday. They're going to roll out the extra seats in Baton Rouge and Shreveport and other cities.
And armories or arenas?
I'm telling you, they're going to St. Paul. They're filling a football stadium.
The Republicans did not want George Bush to speak. They're continuing his policies, but they know that the population of America doesn't really realize that it's Bush's policies that have ruined America. A lot of them have personalized it. So they don't want the president to speak. They don't want Dick Cheney, one of the most hated men in America. I mean, a guy who committed treason. They don't want him to speak. So this is their excuse to push them off the stage. Aren't those few Republicans that still like Bush and still like Cheney, won't they be upset by their president not speaking at the convention?
My dream campaign coming up is for you guys to still run against Bush Cheney. If you will spend the next 8 weeks running against Bush Cheney, we are going to win in a landslide. Just keep doing it,
I think
please.
Obama said it best.
It's John McCain and Governor Sarah Palin on the ballot, and if you want to run against Bush Cheney, have at it, guys.
I think the numbers have it, the polling, as far as his popularity. The numbers are on our side.
As Obama said, he said McCain voted 90% of the time with Bush. By the way, it was 95% last year. He's gotten closer to Bush in the last year, and I don't want to take a risk that he's going to be 10% different. That's Obama's words.
My favorite is this revisionist history. Last week during the convention, I was listening to 4 Republican talking heads, including Ben Stein and Larry King, talking about Joe Biden. And their message of the day was, well, Joe Biden voted for the war. And Larry King finally reminded Ben Stein that George Bush started the war. And Ben Stein said, well, that was a mistake, but Joe Biden voted for the war.
Well, I can't.
You guys are great.
Splitting the hair a little bit.
Look, I can't speak for Stein. He's a very humorous, accomplished guy. He does a lot of things. Maybe or maybe not. He said the right thing. I didn't see that clip.
He's your Michael
But
Moore.
let's talk about, if you want to
I'll
talk
take
about,
Michael Moore.
Joe Biden's difficulties is Joe Biden is, Joe married to the status quo Biden. This guy represents the status quo, do things business as usual in Washington. There's not an ounce worth of change in 36
like John
years.
McCain, huh?
Are we talking about the same person?
Biden against Women Act, universal health care?
No, right now we're talking about John McCain and Governor Sarah Palin of Alaska being the change agents, bringing change to Washington, showing how this is going to happen. The mantle of change has
Who
passed.
turned the spin machine on?
We'll talk about this after the break. I'll tell you. What a spin doctor you are,
That's pretty
Mr.
good,
Lang.
though.
And we shall see you back here in 2 minutes, and we'll continue this debate. Thanks for watching.
Smoke before you give it a try. Only you. Don't play with matches. Don't play with fire. Cause there's nothing very funny about rigged out fight. Nothing very nice on a homeless mind. So if a gorgeous force is what you desire, don't play with matches. Don't play with fire. Only you can prevent wildfires. Fire.
Why don't you just wash your car at home?
When I wash my car, everything runs down the street and down into the storm drains. With all the chemicals in the soaps and waxes, the last thing I want to do is poison my own drinking water.
At least here, it's all contained and recycled on site.
That's why I also take my car in for oil changes instead of doing it myself. I might take a chance on spilling stuff.
You know what the best part is?
What?
More time to kick back and watch the game.
How far would you go to protect the planet?
I want you to build an ark.
Here we go. Okay, that's good. Oh, okay. Ow!
Maybe there's another way.
People, the flood is imminent!
Is it too much to ask for a little precipitation?
Go to fightglobalwarming.com to find out what you and your community can do to reduce global warming pollution.
Somewhere around the world, there are men and women of the armed forces risking their lives, helping rebuild communities after natural disasters, collecting toys for needy children, tutoring kids in school. These are your sons and daughters who work to keep us safe, secure, and free. Dedicated men and women who put their country first.
You'd think it would be easy to tell which kids have trouble with their eyesight. But that's not always the case. Even though 1 in 4 children may have a vision problem, eye doctors tell us the symptoms aren't always so obvious. We do know that 80% of all childhood learning is visual. And without good vision, kids can have trouble learning to read. And may fall behind in school. For clues on how to spot the real-life signs of childhood vision problems and what parents can do, visit checkyearly.com. A public service message from the Vision Council of America, and reading is fundamental.
George Burke with the Inside Scoop, Virginia.
Welcome back to our second segment, Inside Scoop, Virginia. My guests today are Mike Lane, Republican consultant, Shannon Sullivan, who just came back as a delegate from the Democratic Convention and does co-hosting duties here, and Mark Levine, who's host of Inside Scoop on Monday nights.
Once again,
Shannon, this was your first convention.
Absolutely.
And you know, some of us have been to a lot of them. We get a little bit jaded, but everyone is different. And watching this, I thought it got off to a bit of a slow start on Monday, but by the time you got into Tuesday, Wednesday, I think the Clintons did what they were supposed to do. I think Obama hit it out of the park. I think that the event they had at the stadium, at Mile High Stadium in Vesco Field, it's now known as, I still know it as Mile High, was just fabulous. And speaking to those who were there, it was even much more of a show, but of course, all of this show is for television and for the voters of America, not as much for the people there, but you get caught up in it. So tell us, give a couple of minutes, tell us about our experience, if I can stop these guys from interrupting.
Oh, I can hold my own. I'm not worried about them. I think the first thing that has to be mentioned is the actual seating of our delegation. You know, we were front and center behind not only just Illinois, so we had, a clear shot of the podium, all of the speakers, and we're featured, I think, at more than one cut from the various media. Off to a little slow start. I think, Monday night with Michelle Obama can't be, downplayed. I thought she did spectacularly. I think she filled the role that she needed to. She was the #1 character witness as to who he is on a very intimate level. And how he became who he was over his political career, and I think that she did wonderfully well. I think a lot of people that didn't know, who exactly she was, her education is top notch. She speaks beautifully. Were a little bit, taken aback, and I'm glad that they did so because she was deserving of every moment.
Oh, she's a class act, beautiful family. My women friends thought it was great. My men friends like me thought it was a little schmaltzy.
I think she was playing to a part of the constituency that were still a little uncertain as to who he was. They needed the background, they needed a little bit more of the touchy-feely, the emotional impact that only she was able to relay. And she wasn't there to cut at the Republicans, she wasn't there to be an attack dog or go after McCain or anyone else. I think she would have been criticized if she hadn't done so. So as far as filling that role, I think she did wonderfully well. Then you move on to, the other nights, you have, the Clintons. I don't want to downplay, Bill, who did, beautifully well. He rallies an audience like no one else can. And Hillary.
Well, hopefully Obama can.
I do believe, well, he plays to, again, I don't want to say an older generation, it makes it sound, like there's a division within the Democratic Party, which I don't think that there is. But he plays to a guard that, it's reminiscent of the older days, the Clinton legacy.
Like Lane and me.
I don't want to quite go there, but he spoke wonderfully.
Even Bill Clinton still speaks to the young. Bill Clinton was the first president that I got really excited about in my life. When I hear that song, "Don't Stop Thinking About Tomorrow," I admit it.
People want to remember the older times.
I get emotional. It's like, wow,
there was an era, and we wanted to hearken upon those older days, and he did wonderfully well.
One of the things about that Clinton has is when you're one-on-one with Clinton, and I've been in that situation several times over the years, it's like his charisma sort of envelops you.
Oh, it does.
Well, I have found that Obama has some of the same characteristics. When you're one-on-one with Obama, again, it's hard to describe the aura, but he clearly makes you think you're the only one in the room when he's communicating with you. And while that only, that's one with people, I think that some of that gets projected through the TV camera. And so we shall see.
George, I actually commented on Michelle Obama's speech on the local Fox News. I'd like to show you some of what I did. I think I've got the sound working again. Let's see if I can get this right.
Who's the plastic anchor there?
It's Steve Kelly of the local Fox News.
He certainly looks like a Republican.
The story, we had a very strong version that protected civil liberties at the same time as it had very strong weapons against terrorists. And everyone agreed on it, from the far left to the far right. We agreed on that bill, and then, well, they threw it away and gave us an hour later the other Patriot Act. But I wrote the good one. I just want to be clear.
All right. What do you see as the major issue here during this convention? Conventions are supposed to bump heads a little bit. Delegations bump heads. And what are we going to come out of this whole affair Thursday night after the big speech, just a little bit that way at Invesco Field. What is going to be the marching orders, if you will, for?
Well, I think part of it is simply to let America know about Barack Obama's life story. I mean, the Republicans are going to do their normal dirty tricks. You already got the same people who wrote the Swift Boat book writing a nasty book about
during the primaries, Biden's comments against Barack Obama.
Well, the main thing I think is to let people know who Barack Obama is. You know, he's not an elitist. He's somebody who, you know, grew up with a single mother, made it on his own, went to Harvard Law School, and hasn't been given, you know, didn't marry a beer heiress. This is a guy who made it on his own.
We have got to wrap it up here, but I'm going to try to get Mark Levine with Mark Levine, and maybe get you two on the air. Would you be open to that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Bring it on.
Levine, not Levin. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Have a great stay in the Mile High City.
I will.
All right. Well, Heidi Hemmett's been following
this
protesters,
was the first
which
one.
really
I did do a couple others that day. I think I talked about Michelle Obama a little farther on. But I do think she brought out that this is a self-made man. And, you know, it seems that most of the Republicans that run for office, they get there because, I mean, John McCain, you know, there's a reason he got into Annapolis, even though he did do worse than 99% of the students there. His father was an admiral, his grandfather was an admiral. Same reason George W. Bush got into Yale. His father got into Yale. These are not brilliant people. Sarah Palin is known for not being that swift. So in many ways, I think this is an election.
Sarah Palin is known for being particularly bright. A quick study. She is, we'll get into this later, Mark, but I couldn't let that one go. Sarah Palin is known as being very bright.
It does take quite a bit.
She's the darling of the evangelist.
I will give you two. Well, first of all, she believes in supporting creationism in the schools. She doesn't believe that polar bears should be protected because she wants to hunt them down until they're extinct. She just agreed to a $500 million Trans-Canada pipeline, and there's not even any guarantee the pipeline will be built, but it was based on the fact that she hired the lobbyist for Trans-Canada. And in terms of intelligence, I give you two examples that I read about in the Anchorage Daily News in October 2006, and yes, I've been doing my work studying who she was. There are two examples. One, she met with a group of teachers, and they had specific concerns about salaries and about the educational system and testing and all of that. And she was running for the governorship, and instead she gave them a 3-year-old essay on how she's so proud of her parents who were teachers. And she met before the chiropractors and had questions about insurance, health insurance, and lawsuits and so forth. And the response to them was, if a chiropractor hadn't helped her husband, Todd, he wouldn't be here today. Got a standing ovation, but never actually addressed the issues. Last, I would just say that the head of the state Senate, a Republican in Alaska, the head of the state Senate said, Sarah Palin for vice president? She's not ready to be governor, much less vice president.
And she's a governor who has a 90% approval rating of the citizens of Alaska. She's a governor who has taken on the Republican political establishment and cleaned out the corruption. She took on a sitting Republican governor and ousted him for corruption. She encouraged her lieutenant governor to take on Don Young, the sitting congressman of 36 years, and they're currently engaged in a recount. There was a 135 vote, 5-vote margin, you know, after the whole thing was done last week in the primary.
No, I think
and she's demanded that Senator Ted Stevens come out and tell the American people, or tell the people of Alaska, just exactly what it is that he, you know, that he thinks makes him not guilty of the charges of corruption that he's indicted for. This is a woman who is bright. This is a woman who is articulate. This is a woman who takes on the establishment. She's a reformer. She's a tax cutter. She's a hockey mom, and she's extraordinarily bright. When you see her articulate issues,
she's under investigation for trying to get her brother-in-law fired after he was.
And I think that an investigation that she called for to be done on herself because she knows she's absolutely done. It's being conducted by the Democratic leader in the Alaska Senate, and he has said not only are they cooperating, they're giving us documents we haven't even asked for, and he says so far there's absolutely nothing here.
Well, first of all, I think that a lot of her polling, as you want to put it, you know, being
90% approval rating, that's pretty darn good.
She
I'd like
won
to have
the seat because everyone was voting against the incumbent who slashed the budget, and you know.
She slashed the budget more than he did, and she's 90% approval rating.
He was someone on the outs, and they voted against him. They did not vote for her.
No, Stevens was, I mean, excuse me, Murkowski, Governor Murkowski, she beat him. Governor Murkowski was, you know, he wasn't slashing the budget, he was one of the corruption.
He was on the outside.
It's interesting that you're now willing to call all these Republicans corrupt, that I called corrupt on the show.
You never mentioned Alaska, Mark. Have you done it?
I mentioned Stevens a lot. Are you and Sarah Palin willing to join and to endorse Mark Babbitt, who's running against Ted Stevens, the Democrat, the very highly esteemed mayor of Anchorage, Alaska, which I should note is about, 20 times the size of Wisconsin. assail you. You ready to endorse Mark Babbage and admit that Stevens is corrupt? Or are you going to try to defend the corrupt Republican along with your new reformer?
Governor,
which is it, Mike?
Governor Palin has publicly called for Senator Stevens to publicly defend himself against these charges to the satisfaction.
Will she endorse Babbage, you think?
To the satisfaction of the Alaskan people.
Right.
I think that's the right thing. She has not endorsed Stevens for re-election. She will not endorse Stevens for re-election until he does that.
Are you agreeing that Babbage is the better guy, that we need to elect a Democrat because Republicans
That's
are
for the
corrupt?
people of Alaska to decide, but I do think that she's the right thing. Stevens needs to come clean and tell the people of Alaska exactly what's up before the election. And that's what Governor Palin has demanded to happen.
Why do you think Palin lied when she said that she had nothing to do with the firing of the public safety commissioner who she wanted to fire the trooper? Do you think that she should apologize and say, I'm sorry I lied?
Do you have information that everybody else doesn't have, Mark?
I've come to the New York Times. Now, I didn't hear it personally.
Well, okay, again, the New York Times. Do you have information from a credible source that somebody else doesn't have?
I have the Associated Press, and I have Yahoo.
This is the same New York Times that ran a front-page article about John McCain and his illicit affair with some lobbyist, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, well, he's known to have had a few of them.
That died after about 12 hours because there was absolutely no credible piece of the story. That's the same New York Times, right? Okay, thank you.
We shall be back. It's tough being wedged in the middle of these two. And I think we're going to try and talk about something else than a governor of a state that has about half the population of Fairfax County, if I may add that as we go to the break. So stick with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Saving for retirement.
Major.
For some folks, but for others, it might take a little more work. And for those who haven't started, there are still things you can do to catch up.
Oh, that is good news.
Like getting out from underneath past debt. And don't get wrapped up with high-interest credit cards.
Get you some eyes.
Be diversified with your investments. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Your financial goals are not out of reach. The choice is clear. For a happy ending, choose to save.
Everyone with alcohol and drug addiction is in the same boat. With treatment, you can find solid ground. For drug and alcohol information and treatment referral for you or someone you know, call 1-800-662-HELP.
Dude, are you...
You want this tattoo because just do it.
Some mistakes in life are permanent. Like hearing loss. To learn how to protect your hearing, visit asha.org.
You've #1 killer of women nationwide. Probably heard about heart disease, but did you know that it's the disease claims more lives each year than breast cancer, lung cancer, or strokes combined. But there are steps you can take to protect yourself against it. For more information on how you can prevent heart disease, contact your local American Heart Association or visit their website at www.americanheart.org.
Once again, George Burke with the Inside Scoop, Virginia.
Welcome back to tonight's Slugfest, also known as Inside Scoop, Virginia. I have Mike Lane, Republican consultant, to my far right, Shannon Sullivan, who's one of our co-hosts, and Mark Levine, who is the host of Inside Scoop. Shannon and Mark just got back from the Democratic Convention. But I got one question for you first, Mike. Now, Palin is certainly anti-choice, and she is pro-creationism, and she is against stem cell research. Now, those are pretty much the same positions that Keith Fimian takes, who's the 11th Congressional District candidate, the Republican here in Virginia, running against Jerry Connolly. Do you think those issues are going to fly in the 11th District? I mean, you know the 11th District as well as I do. You've, certainly been around here a long time.
Well, first of all, let me ask George your agreement to refer to someone who is pro-life as pro-life rather than, I mean, they are pro-life. We don't refer to people who are pro-choice as pro-death, and so I think,
do believe I've heard it. However,
yeah, I've heard that.
It would
you
be,
don't, but some of you.
Let's keep it
oh,
on
hey,
the,
I had those signs waved at me all week in Denver. I'm going to hell if all they're concerned.
They just hold up pictures of dead fetuses and stuff.
You forgot also to mention that Governor Palin is a life member of the National Rifle Association.
That one, Keith Fimian is not.
Very proud of. All right, so this is just the stuff that they have in common.
Research, yeah.
Okay. My personal view on teaching in schools ought to be that the theory of evolution is the leading scientific theory and ought to be highlighted as the number one thing. I think the science is probably most there on that one.
Would you teach alternative theories?
However, I'll tell you exactly what I do. However, we have to keep in mind that the theory of evolution is exactly that. It is the theory of evolution. We haven't found the missing link yet. It is not,
It's like the theory of gravity. I mean, we may
all
not a scientific fact. In a minute. I think, by the way,
we haven't proved that the world is not flat yet.
Yes, we have pictures of it.
I think that if we're going to teach the theory of creationism, we need to teach alternatives to gravity. Because just because we're now here on this planet doesn't mean that we're not going to float off tomorrow. You don't know what's going to happen in the next minute. We may all float away. Gravity is only a scientific theory.
I think it's a difference of what has been scholastically vetted, and the theory of evolution by far, as opposed to creationism.
I think we need to bring in the Ghostbusters to really check it out. If you want to get some scientific
Plus, we need to teach about the flying spaghetti monster, because some people believe he created the Earth.
Let me suggest to you, and we don't need to spend all night beating this unless you want to, in which case I'll be glad to.
It's pretty easy to beat it.
But I will also suggest to you that the theory of evolution and the theory of intelligent design are not necessarily in conflict, okay?
You can believe God created the Earth and then we all evolved.
Enough spin. So anyway, we do agree that both she and Fimian agree on this, and I don't expect either of them are going to attempt to make it into a campaign issue, but some of us may.
As I would expect you to, George.
What about the stem cell research? I understand he's a fervent Catholic, and I understand he's taken sort of the conservative position on that, and I'll give him that. I don't agree with him on it, but I'll give him that. But the stem cell research, the prohibiting of the sale of contraceptives in drugstores, choosing not to counsel young women, not providing the emergency contraceptive pill to someone who is raped, or someone involved in incest. This type, and I just found out this week that somebody who I know very well was raped recently, and it's just they're going through a horrible, horrible, horrible experience. How can someone consider themselves to be mainstream and advocate those kind of views?
Well, I don't know the specifics of what you're saying that Mr. Fimian is actually advocating under what circumstances. If he's saying that he doesn't think the morning after pill should be dispensed in public schools, I think he's got a very strong policy argument to be made on that.
Or sold in drugstores.
If he's saying that this thing, which has been approved by the Food and Drug Administration and is prescribed, I don't know how widely, but it's available, et cetera. I think that's probably a position I wouldn't take. I do know that there has been only one that I know of, but one fairly well publicized situation where someone had the pill prescribed, took it, and wound up losing their life. It turned out to be a fatal drug for them. If he's calling for just more medical oversight on it, then that would not be an out of the mainstream position. If he's, if somebody is calling for total elimination, blah, 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 then
I do believe the Bush administration is doing exactly that right now. They're rewriting under the Health and Human Services the definition of abortion to include certain types of contraception. If that doesn't fly and circumvent the whole legislative process,
Fimian's a disciple of Tom Monahan out of Michigan, the Domino's pizza owner, who's actually started Ave Maria, Florida, where their drugstores do not dispense contraceptives and the like in the store. And a lot of his money is coming through that crowd.
But that's I wouldn't call Finnegan's view the Catholic view. I mean,
no. Actually, it is. It is.
Jerry Connolly is Catholic. He's running against him. Joe Biden is Catholic. He's pro-choice.
I'm Catholic.
Okay, I'm Catholic.
Okay, you have 3 Catholics on stage, and 3 of you disagree.
I can tell you, just like Nancy Pelosi had no idea what the Catholic Church taught on certain subjects.
The Catholic Church has changed its view.
No.
People don't want to talk about that until 1869. The Catholic Church didn't consider life to begin at conception.
Okay, and I can quote from Cardinal Egan's paper on this just last week when he rebuked right. And how much more and how much more do we know now than St. Augustine knew back in the 1300s?
Oh, it's based on science? Is that what it is?
All right.
In large measure, the thinking of the church is based on the facts, including science as they know it. And
I want to talk about the facts about Palin and the facts about Femium. No one disagrees that they oppose stem cell research, that they oppose abortion, and that they oppose the dispensing of contraceptives to women, even if they're married, even in the event.
About Mr. Fimian, because I haven't engaged his website or him on this particular issue, but I can tell you...
They're actually trying to run from it and hide from it.
I can tell you that Governor Palin is not opposed to stem cell research. She is opposed to the creation of embryos for the
embryonic stem cell research.
For creating them for the purpose of then harvesting the stem cell lines and going like that. The Catholic Church, the Catholic Church is very, very opposed to that.
Proponents of stem cell research, including myself, aren't saying women go out and create embryos for this purpose. We have hundreds of thousands of embryos that some are frozen, some are destroyed. There's all kinds of fertility clinics. No one is saying, let's go out and create embryos for this purpose. We have hundreds of thousands there. We're saying use the ones that exist.
And the Catholic Church's position would be that these would make wonderful snowflake babies over the course of time, and so let's keep that option open. Let's not destroy them.
And out of 400,000 are created a year, some 100 women decide to implant someone else's baby in their uterus. If they want to do that, good for them. I'm all for it. But I think we have enough unwanted children here already. Let me ask you, though, about Palin, because it's interesting to me, broader than choice issues, life issues, broader than abortion, to me, that just typifies how much she disagrees with Hillary Clinton. If you look at Hillary Clinton's views and you look at Sarah Palin's views, everything from universal health care to drilling in Anwar to creationism to abortion, you just name it down. One down the road, she is the polar opposite of Hillary Clinton. Do you think that Hillary Clinton supporters, women, let's be clear who we're talking about.
I've got a word or two on this one too.
Are they stupid enough to fall for voting for McCain-Palin simply because Palin is a woman, even though her views are 180 degrees from Hillary Clinton?
No, Mark, they're smart enough to go for McCain-Palin because they know that they have a lot in common with Governor Palin. They know that Senator McCain is a strong leader.
Tell me what a supporter of Hillary Clinton has in common with Palin, other than the fact that they both have ovaries. Other than that, what do they have in common?
Well, not all supporters of Hillary Clinton have ovaries,
no,
Mark.
That's true.
You supported her at one time, and to the best of my recollection,
I like Hillary Clinton. I respect
I'm not so
Hillary
sure.
Clinton. Hillary Clinton
of rape, incest, or the health of the mother.
I don't know.
Was top of her class at Yale Law School. I've met Hillary Clinton. She's a very impressive, brilliant woman. Now, why would a supporter of Hillary Clinton support Sarah Palin?
It's not going to happen. I mean,
the numbers,
but the numbers are already out there. Let me suggest that Sarah Palin was chosen, number one, to try and grab some Hillary delegates. Number two, to bring in the evangelicals who have been even looking at Obama, all of a sudden will come back into the fold because she's a big favor to them. We're not going to even argue that point. We know that. And that's going to be helpful to the Republicans. And number three, the low information voters who come in at the end of the process, who don't spend a lot of time reading literature, looking at websites, watching inane talk shows like ours, will
Speak
in fact...
for yourself. My show...
okay.
Will in fact come in at the end.
The ovaries will speak now. Thank you very much.
Please, go right ahead.
You know, I think it's very much insulting to the fact that they think that, you know, her as a politician being female, I commend that. I want more women to enter the political process. However, to say that, you know, it's one more crack in that glass ceiling, you know, because you're going to have all of these Hillary supporters come on board is thoroughly insulting. It's patronizing to to our political, understanding of the process, what we actually stand for. And it's not because you have ovaries or however we're going to put it. We're going to look into a whole lot more of the depth of the issues and who the person is. And I personally think that this whole, Hillary, Obama, the Puma people, however you want to define it, is overblown. You can even say it's a Republican conspiracy.
It was a media.
They are trying.
Media was looking
I will
for
tell
something to
you,
report.
every time I saw a microphone shoved in someone's face, it was, do you think that they're going to reconcile? Do you think there's going to be unity? It wasn't, how do you take this experience? They're trying to play up every moment of a cat fight that they can.
I'll tell you something. In 1992, I remember there were a few, and the minority, but there were a few African Americans that said, you know what, we support Clarence Thomas, even though he doesn't seem to be supportive of African American issues because we think he's a black man. He can't really be as bad as they say they are, and they found out he was worse. And every single person who supported him in 1992 from the Democratic side of the spectrum has said, oh, you were right, we never should have agreed to it, we'll never make that mistake again. I don't think there are many Clinton supporters who are dumb enough to fall for this trick. But I want to hear Mike explain.
All right. First, let's start off with the abortion issue. The polling that I've been privy to shows that about 8% of women are inflexibly pro-choice, and they will never consider a candidate who is not pro-choice. About 12% of women are inflexibly pro-life, and they will never consider a candidate of any kind that is not pro-life.
Now, they weren't Clinton
that
supporters.
No, this is all women voters.
I'm talking about Clinton supporters.
I know, this is all women voters. Now, that leaves 80% of the women's vote up for grabs. Now, the latest polling I've seen shows that it's women who are essentially not making up their minds, not men, and that when you look at the undecided, it's about 43% for Obama among women now and about 37% for McCain among women now. It doesn't take a lot of Clinton women supporters to come over to start closing that gap.
But why would
We're
they,
not,
Mike?
I'm going to tell you why. And let's go back.
And I don't believe that there are that many disaffected Hillary supporters that will make the sacrifice to vote for 4 more years of exactly the same.
Well, it's not exactly the same. As I said, McCain, Palin are the agents of change. It's Senator. It's Senator. It is Senator. It is.
Best line you've given all night.
Let's talk about Senator. Play it the same way Biden. I mean, this guy is no more an agent.
We're talking about McSame, the change agent. I want to hear this.
He still hasn't answered my question. Why would a Clinton supporter?
If you want to talk about doing things different in Washington, let's talk about getting rid of earmarks. It's not Obama, the earmark
king. Let's talk about the Keating Five.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Graft and corruption.
She is a nominee by Big Oil. That's all I've got.
She ran through the largest tax on Big Oil in Alaska history, and you tell me she's an agent?
I want to know why a Clinton supporter would vote for McCain Palin. I want you to.
I will tell you why. Actually, you want to know a Clinton supporter, not a McCain supporter, but we'll do it that way.
I don't even know where.
That's out, George.
I don't even know where to start here. But I'll tell you, we are getting some stories from this side of the table. Anyway, we'll have some more fun.
My friend's moving away from me.
In 2 minutes, please come back.
I need a job.
Necesito trabajo. I would like to speak English better. Me gustaría hablar inglés mejor.
I want to be a U.S. citizen.
Quisiera ser ciudadano de los Estados Unidos.
For over 35 years,
Por más de 35 años,
the Hispanic Committee of Virginia has been serving our community.
el Comité Hispano de Virginia ha estado sirviendo a nuestra comunidad.
Job training and placement,
Capacitación, ayuda para conseguir trabajo,
education for children and adults,
educación para niños y adultos,
immigration, naturalization, and medical referrals.
ayuda para los procesos de inmigración y naturalización y orientación sobre médicos
Are a small part of what we do.
son solo una pequeña parte de lo que hacemos.
For help, information, or to volunteer,
Para ayuda, información o para ofrecerse como voluntario,
contact the Hispanic Committee of Virginia,
comuníquese con el Comité Hispano de Virginia,
helping everyone participate more fully in American society.
ayudando a todos a participar plenamente en la sociedad norteamericana.
Hey, Lena, where's yours?
Would you notice if you were missing half your kidney function?
According to the National Kidney Foundation, 20 million people have chronic kidney disease, and 20 million more may be at risk and not even know it. Anyone with high blood pressure, diabetes, or family history of chronic kidney disease is at risk. Early diagnosis is vitally important. To get the whole story, talk to your doctor and visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org or call for a free brochure. Because when it comes to chronic kidney disease, you might not know the half of it.
Once again, George Burke with the Inside Scoop, Virginia.
Welcome back. Again, my guests are Mike Lane, one of the best Republican spinners I know, and I know some good ones. Shannon Sullivan, who just got back from the convention, and Mark Levine, who fights from the hard left and never gives up. I'm telling you, I'm going to have cauliflower ears on both sides before this thing is done. Mark, I know you want to show this, and I hope we got the right clip up.
I think we do.
You had a little discussion with Dick Wadhams, who is the chair of the Colorado Party. Mike, you described he was a mucky-muck with George Allen.
Virginia Republicans know Dick Wadhams. He came to Virginia to run the George Allen campaign, and most Virginia Republicans believe if it was not for Dick Wadhams, we'd be debating whether or not it was Obama versus George Allen for president now instead of John McCain. That's how welcome Dick Wadhams is back in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
All right.
Just to be clear, how did Dick Wadhams sabotage George Allen's campaign? I mean, how was it him and not Allen who sabotaged?
He didn't staple his lips shut.
It was,
Yeah, was that what he's supposed to do? Staple his lips shut?
The response that
keep anybody but white people away from him.
The response that Wadhams crafted to the Macaca incident was about as bad crisis management as. I mean, you could go to school and this would be the textbook example of how not to do it.
So it's Dick Wadhams' fault that George Allen is racist.
I mean, you got to get along with the press, and what you got to do, Wadhams is on the phone working the press, calling the press names that they couldn't even repeat. This is how bad this guy was in public relations and stuff like that.
Well, let's hear how he does it.
Calling editors, threatening to get the reporters fired. I mean, this guy was just the absolute worst campaign manager that there was.
I didn't know this history when I talked with him.
So we're all on the same side of this one. But I do want to hear what you have to say about Jim Gilmore. I look forward.
Let's play it.
Yesterday, Mark Levine, good morning.
Good to be here.
He is a nationally syndicated talk show host, more on the left side of things, so we'll come back to you, but let's start with Dick. Welcome to, I guess this would be enemy territory, wouldn't it?
I think it's great. It's fun to be here.
Well, thanks for being here. What did you think of last night? Specifically, though, I want to hear what you thought of Michelle Obama, but Ted Kennedy, as a Republican, what did you think of that speech?
Well, I mean, Kennedy gives a great speech. What can I say? And it was a great night for the Democratic Party last night. I mean, they had some of their stars show up from the past, and Michelle Obama gave a great speech as well. Nobody addressed the fundamental question, though, that needs to be answered at this convention: is Barack Obama ready to be president? That question, the answer is no.
Well, don't you think they're going? I mean, it's only day one, though. Don't you think they'll get to that at some point?
No, I don't. I think we're going to see a great show for 4 days, but it will not fundamentally answer the question: is Barack Obama ready to be president? And the answer is no.
All right, and real quick, Joe Biden. What does that look like then for Mr. McCain's pick for VP?
You know, first of all, I agree with the Rocky Mountain News and Denver Post, both who editorialized very strongly what a bad pick Senator Biden was for Barack Obama. Our Denver newspapers were unified on that. In terms of Senator McCain, we'll find out Friday. There are a lot of great potential VP candidates, and looking forward to whoever he picks.
Well, as we start the 7 o'clock hour, Mark Levine, jump in here. That's the Republican view of things right now. Obviously, you would disagree.
Well, you know, what's interesting is that most Americans already support Barack Obama on the issues. If you look at it, 70% plus of Americans don't like the direction the country is going, and they don't want John McCain just to continue Bush's policies, privatizing Social Security and things like that, giving us 100 years of war in Iraq. So, because Americans already support Obama on the issues, last night was about personality. It was about learning who he was as a person. And to me, Michelle Obama really brought up, this is a family guy. These are people from humble beginnings who lived the American dream. Oh, we got sound problems, but you heard my basic point. The basic point was that I mean, people do support Obama on the issues. If you look at Obama on the issues, McCain on the issues, do we want more tax cuts for ExxonMobil, or do we want to explore wind and solar, privatize Social Security? They agree with Obama. Really what the convention was about was personalizing him, letting them know who he is, not just what policies he stands for.
The Democrats were very magnanimous about letting Republicans into their convention and reporting, being able to do their criticism and their spin from broadcast booths within the arena, being in there, etc. Now the Republicans say they're going to be as magnanimous as well. Now, if it was me on your side, I'd lock all these guys out now.
Well,
I wouldn't let them in the first place.
I have
into
to have
the
a comment
Democratic
there. As far as I'm aware, usually each side gives, the opposing side their 4 days. There's no spin. The campaign aired 3 ads plus a half dozen from 501c, attacking Obama. That's not the nonpartisan, 4-day relief that I'm used to seeing.
It's all changed with the 24-hour news.
Yeah. All the advertising on this show I saw. There
Absolutely
was tons
ridiculous.
of, McCain, is Obama ready to be president? Is Obama ready to be president? It's interesting now that they've chosen Sarah Palin, a woman who her own Republican state Senate president said wasn't ready to be governor, much less vice president.
Who was also
she's about to oust him for corruption.
I don't think they're going to run the "Is Obama ready to be president" anymore.
Just like a
She's also younger than Obama.
Well, didn't they knock out that argument? By choosing her?
Well, let me address George's question first, which is I think that the price you pay for having the major media outlets set up in the Sky Suites and inside the convention hall, the price you pay for that is to give them free access to the other side talent that they have. And so, maybe the Democrats were magnanimous, but they had to do it, and maybe the Republicans will be similarly magnanimous, but they have to do it. They really have no choice.
I got to ask you, Mike, before we run out of time. Jim Gilmore continues to lag in the polls against Mark Warner. Both of them were potential presidential candidates last year. Gilmore couldn't even raise any money running for president. Warner's got a bankroll. I don't know what it is now. Last time I looked, it was over $6 million. They're in the $6 million range. Gilmore
plus the ability to write an unlimited personal check should he decide to.
Correct, like Keith Fimian. Right. And Gilmore is in the 6-figure range, in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, when I saw the cash on hand he had, I don't know how he even able to maintain a staff. What's going on there?
Well, look, there's no doubt that Jim Gilmore's campaign is not where he'd like it to be at this point. In fact, there are, it's not where he'd like it to be.
Is he like in Dick Bottom's situation here?
He has a plan for the last 70 days. I've been privy to parts of it. It is something that, given the circumstances that the campaign's in now, is a very smart and judicious use of the resources that are available now and that are likely to be available. We all know that at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, when you don't have the resources, it's tough to carry the day. I'll make a flat-out prediction that no race is going to be won by 20 points. I mean, this race is going to tighten just because of the natural focus of things.
But Mark Warner will win.
Jim Gilmore is counting on the fact that Senator McCain is going to have a rather substantial win in Virginia.
Oh, that's not what the polls show.
And that
polls show them neck and neck.
And that the majority of those people will similarly cast their ballot for Jim Gilmore, and he is focusing his attention on finding those additional votes.
I don't believe you believe what you're saying.
I'm telling you what Jim Gilmore's plan is, Mark.
Yeah,
okay?
All right.
But I don't think you're right.
Because Mark Warner is going to get a lot of Republican support. I hear there are even McCain-Warner signs down south of the Rappahannock in a few spots in Virginia.
Before we go, I want to hear Mike's answer to my Clinton question, because we got 3 minutes left, and I don't want to get you off the hook. Tell me, do you honestly believe that an intelligent Clinton supporter could support the McCain-Palin ticket?
Mark, right now, the latest polls I've seen show that somewhere between 25 and 30% of Clinton supporters are not yet ready to commit to Barack Obama. That means he's got somewhere between 70 and 75% of the Clinton supporters already signed up on his team, working, being enthusiastic. These 25 to 30% are in play. Now, part of
Republican figments of imagination.
More than 90% of them will go for Hillary Clinton, because you still haven't answered my question. Why would an intelligent Hillary Clinton supporter vote for McCain?
I was setting the stage now. I'm going to tell you why they will.
Please, I'm waiting.
They will make an affirmative choice to go for Senator McCain and Governor Palin, because they look at them on the issues and they note, number one, this is a change election. And McCain, Palin are the agents of change. Barack Obama and Joe Biden are the agents of same old, same old.
Agents of change,
now,
maybe.
The second thing is, let's talk about the important issues. John McCain.
You didn't even crack a smile when you said that.
John McCain and Governor Palin have a plan to bring energy prices down. It's a comprehensive, broad look at everything. Barack Obama is still stuck in that no drill, no drill, no drill, never.
I don't
let's
think
import,
that's what he's
let's
saying.
import more foreign oil.
He's upset the left because he's not saying that. He's saying, sure, let's open up areas to drilling, but give the states the right to determine whether or not drilling is allowed on the
that's McCain's position. So he's come to McCain's position finally?
What about the 68 million acres
that are already available? Well, they're being explored. They're being.
How long have they been available?
A couple years.
More than that.
All right, and you know what? They all go away in about 5 more years if they're not drilled. And you think the oil companies are going to let them go away if there's oil there that can be extracted at a reasonable price? The answer is no, they're not.
I think the drilling is just a Republican talking point.
Well, no, it's drill, and the McCain-Palin team has a comprehensive energy solution that includes conservation, includes renewables like wind and solar,
includes drilling and ANWR,
includes nuclear.
They disagree on that one.
Includes nuclear. And includes offshore drilling. They do disagree on the ANWR. I happen to think John McCain's wrong on that one.
Let me just make this one point that Republicans never make, and I really hope Obama points out. The United States Department of Energy, which is no Democratic anything, obviously controlled by President Bush, though of course these are mostly scientists, has said that the first time any new oil will come out of those new oil fields they want so much is in 2030. Obama is right to say that by 2030 we should be off oil and onto wind and solar.
Okay, well, first of all, there's no way we can be off wind and solar completely by 2030. It's not going to be that long. And the last thing I can say, I hear the music coming on, is we built the Alaska pipeline and drilled the North Slope in 3 years. Do you really think it's going to take 10 years to do something else? The answer is no. Department of Energy is dead wrong.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Shannon. I wish we'd had a little more time.
Actually talk about the convention.
See you next week.
Probably heard about heart disease, but did you know that it's the #1 killer of women nationwide? Some of these women may have it and not even know it. Heart disease claims more lives each year than breast cancer, lung cancer, or strokes combined, but there are steps you can take to protect yourself against it. While not smoking, daily exercise, and a nutritious diet are good for your health, they're critical in the fight against heart disease. Most important, get regular checkups and ask your doctor about risk factors, especially if you're over 40, when the risk of heart disease increases dramatically. For more information on how you can prevent heart disease, contact your local American Heart Association or visit their website at www.americanheart.org. It's never too late to protect your heart health. Start now.
How far would you go to help someone? Would you go to the end of your driveway? Would you cross a street? Would you cross an ocean? To a place 6,000 miles from home? And how long would you go? go for a week, a month, a year? Would you go for 2 years? Would you go if you could use your knowledge to teach someone, and in the process, maybe learn something yourself? Life is calling. How far will you go? Peace Corps.
Too many women get hit by their boyfriends and husbands. Too many women are pressured into having unprotected sex. Half of the people in the world living with AIDS are women. It doesn't have to be this way. Together, we can change this reality. Let's strive for a world free of violence.